Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. This is Luciana Turner of the LT&A Consulting Group. I want to pause for a little bit. I want to share something with you. I'm hoping my transparency will help move the needle a little bit for someone else. Because I've recognized that there are a lot of brilliant people operating under a veil of shame. Just walk with me a little bit. Yesterday, I have two laptops. One needed replacing years ago, but it still worked. And a smaller but yet functional newer laptop. Now, the one that needed replacing is my larger, more robust one. It's the one that interfaces with my printer. So I was comfortable with the fact that it needed replacing, but it still worked. And I was so comforted in this dysfunction that I had gotten into a habit of putting videos and things on that laptop for editing, transcribing, and then transferring it over into the other device or transferring the final product onto the cloud for storage. Walk with me a little bit. Well, that laptop finally crashed yesterday. Now, I knew I needed to replace it. It stopped recognizing its own battery. And I had been told a while back by a tech person that it's going to crash on you. One day it's just not going to recognize you and stop working. But I was comfortable in my dysfunction. I was making money. I was being what I called at the time productive. So I was comfortable with the dysfunction. Well, it crashed. Now my podcast episode is on that laptop. I switched platforms, so the program I used to record that episode, I don't have access to any longer. So I sat in that moment and I had three choices. I could sit there and fight with the laptop to get it to work. I could bemoan the evils of the world because my laptop stopped working. Or I could pivot and keep moving. Far too often in business, we miss the opportunity for growth and change because we fail to pivot. And one of the speakers at the conference that I went to this weekend, I don't want to say his name wrong, but he was the closing speaker, and I believe his name was Apostle Gibson, or was Apostle Gibbons. I don't have the notes in front of me. But he spoke about a lot of times people miss the pivot. But at that moment, I was faced with the pivot. And I was faced with the question, what was I going to do? But what I decided to do was make the pivot. But then there's a trick of the mind. In religious circles, we call it a trick of the enemy. And if you're not religious, I want you to walk with me anyway. It's this psychological phenomenon where we replay past mistakes. And it's our subconscious way of protecting us. And it's the enemy's way of trying to yield our progress. Whichever way you land, that's not my choice, that's not my judgment. But I just want you to continue to walk with me just a little while longer. And a thought occurred to me for a conversation that was held where someone said, for an intelligent woman, you're making a poor decision. That wasn't his words, but that was the gist of it. He actually called me stupid at that moment. Now, it was a poor decision not to replace the laptop years ago, but I made it because I was comfortable in my dysfunction. It was a poor decision to not just do the work on the new laptop because I could do everything on the new laptop except print. But I was comfortable in my dysfunction. But the one thing I didn't do in this new season is yield and not make the pivot. As somebody's listening to this broadcast saying, what does this have to do with business? What does this have to do with government contracting? What does this have to do with anything? The point of the matter is this. You have a choice when you come to crossroads in business and contracting. When you hit the proverbial roadblock, when you hit the fork in the road, when you get that contract denial, when you get that denied client, when you hit that upcoming recession they keep bombarding us with, which is nothing but a way to pivot your strategy to weather the storm that could be coming, or you could get grappled in fear and set yourself up for failure. These are the pivotal moments in our businesses and our lives where you can make that strategic change, or you can be comfortable in your dysfunction. So as brilliant as you are, and we all know you're brilliant, do not let errors of the past replay in your mind to a point that it makes you dysfunctional. And if you are existing in dysfunction, having a modicum of success, recognize the dysfunction. Stop operating in it. Up-level, renew the mind, stand in your new leadership. Make that pivot into the new season so you can have an increased success. So I'm going back into my closet so I can finish editing my podcast episodes, since I had to re-record them, so I can get them out today, because I'm a person of integrity, and I'm already out of integrity because they're not up, and they were supposed to be up yesterday. I have my new classes out. I am doing a roundtable discussion where I want to hear your voice around the topics you want to hear about in government contracting. I will drop the link in the description. I'm inviting you in for that conversation. And I will see you tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. I'm actually shifting morning to back a half hour, Eastern Standard Time. Don't forget, make the pivot. And I'll see you tomorrow morning.